The first 10 seconds of a podcast.
First 10 seconds of the See You Do podcast is Bob saying something that we definitely cannot have on there. So I'm hoping everything is looking right here.
I say we just melt right into the conversation, not even like...
You say melt into the conversation?
Yeah, like have the conversation just like start without even being
beautiful.
Like, welcome to the... Like, it just kind of makes it like... You know what I mean? Bob, wouldn't you agree just like get into the conversation? Bob's our executive producer over here. He's advising.
Bob's the guy behind the camera right now, but what is going on, everyone? So welcome to the first episode, I guess. Or what do you call them? Episodes?
Epi.
I don't even know. Of the See You Do podcast. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a little bit now. I've been doing a little bit of research, testing out different things, and this is now the first episode. So welcome. Thank you guys for watching this. And I felt like it was only right to do the first one with the one and only JC from JC Fishin. We're going to be talking about his absolute passion in life, which is Snook. I've never met a man that is so focused or so determined on one species as this man is on Snook, specifically beach Snook. So we'll get into that. And just what's kind of coming up in our area and what kind of patterns that we're going to try and target fishing-wise, whether it's Snook, redfish, and then early summer with, you know, the big old bridge beasts that a lot of you guys know at least my channel, and JC's got some videos about that, and also, beach Snook too. So we're going to dive right into it. So welcome, JC.
Thank you.
I'm going to pull out my phone. I'm not texting or anything. I'm looking at a little outline because I'm trying to be as professional as I possibly can. We're going to talk about fishing lately to start out with.
Okay, I think that's fair.
So JC and I went out last week. What day was that?
Friday? Thursday?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Because I ended up going to a Lightning game that night. But we succeeded on what we were trying to do. But something came up, a technique came up that neither one of us have really tried doing before until this day. And we were both very surprised. By the time this podcast comes out, I'm sure the video will be out from that day, so that everyone will know what we're talking about. But do you want to kind of go over what happened that day? Maybe start from the beginning.
So, starting out super early in the morning, we always try to get up as early as we can, but, sometimes we sleep in. We decided to try a pretty low tide spot, and,
it was low tide that morning.
It was for a skiff, and we were getting stuck. It was pretty low. So we slipped into a spot and we caught some trout, caught some reds, and then, like you were saying, that one grass batch really produced well for us.
Yeah, we were saying, we got up early and we're like, yeah, we're gonna hit this pocket, like a deep pocket, low tide. Low tide was at like 9 a.m. or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And we got up I met him at his place at like 6:45 or something, and we were trying to get to this spot, and we were literally getting his skiff that drafts. I don't know, you could pretty much spit on the ground and get that boat on plane.
Probably 8 inches of water.
Yeah, and we were literally getting it stuck and having to get out, and he was pushing from behind, and I was like pulling on the front cleats and everything.
Too. I had to lift off the back because the back's heavier, so we got after it. Sand.
But what happened was we got in there, and we started catching fish. There was some trout. We each got a redfish. But really, we were hoping for more. We were hoping that once the tide started rushing in, that it was really going to get going, and it was going to be kind of nonstop. We had big select live shrimp, and it was supposed to be like every single cast we were getting trout and reds, because we've done that in the past at this spot. But it really wasn't that. Like, as you guys see in the video, we got like a couple solid trout. We got a couple probably 18s. I got probably a low 20 red, and you got a low one. And we were like, we really feel like we need to do more, kind of. We really want to see, what else we can get. And we moved around to a couple different spots. I remember we were trying cup baiting mangroves, which for February is just not the move. Usually that's kind of a summer pattern when they're tucked up in the mangroves. But we were we had some cup bait, we cast out some mullet, and we had the shrimp. We ended up at this spot up by JC's area. There's a lot of these areas where these grass patches, it kind of looks like fresh water, like something you would like try and catch some
almost
bass or like
Louisiana,
crappie in.
like
Yeah,
Louisiana marshy
yeah,
looking.
like you have your mangroves, like typical mangroves that you see all on the West Coast, and then you got these areas of just like grass. And we start pulling up and we just look over and there was a ton of mullet, like literally like rolling around on top of each other, mullet in this grass. And JC goes, yeah, I had a buddy of mine. He was like, yeah, he's thrown cut bait in this grass before and pulled some solid reds out. So we're like, all right, let's give it a shot. JC rigged up some cut bait. I rigged up, or you had a popping cork or something.
Yeah.
So I grabbed the shrimp, you grabbed the cut bait, and it was freaking on.
It was on for a solid, 40 minutes or so?
Yeah, you pulled out.
Yeah.
Well, I saw one at first.
Yeah, that's the thing. We almost didn't even fish it, but then we saw how many mullet were there and saw a good sized red. We were like, all right.
Yeah. And
this is going to work.
I remember I stood up on the little pulling platform on your skiff, and I was looking over at all these mullet, and I saw the tail and the back end of what had to have been well over 30, probably close to like a 35-inch red amongst all these mullet.
Which is big for our area.
Yeah, and I told JC, I was like, cast over there, get your cut bait, cast over there. And that one cast, I got it on my GoPro. It didn't last, I don't even know, like 15 seconds for you.
The shrimp were literally flicking out of the water.
Yeah,
like
chasing shrimp.
As the cork was hitting the water, the shrimp would bounce right back up to the surface, and there was already a red on it. Like, that's crazy. They must have been flowing through with that tide.
It's something that, like, it's crazy to me how different. JC primarily fishes more north of me. Right. And it is crazy to me how you don't have to go too much further north or south, honestly. And you're in a completely different environment, fishing completely different strategies. And doing that is, like, we don't have the grass like that down where I'm primarily fishing. So that's something that, I don't know, you're probably going to try and hammer a lot more this rest of the year and just see if you can get them dialed in. Yeah,
I feel like whether you go north or south, the geography of, like, the land just changes. Like, if you go south, you have, like, the Skyway and stuff like that. But it seems like the more north you go, it's more of, like, you really see the kiddie pool-like features of the Gulf. Like, if you ever looked on a map, it goes out so, like, far, but it's so shallow.
Yeah.
Like, the further you go. But then you go off, like, you know, a little bit further south, and you're in so much deeper water so much faster.
Yeah, I mean, offshore is a completely...
Yeah.
I can't wait for you to explore offshore up by you a little bit more.
It's exciting. I mean,
granted, you're going to need like calmer days on
for sure
your boat, but the opportunities that you have up by your way for the shallow water grouper, the cobia.
Yeah, there's a lot of species up there that are just like more prominent, closer, I think.
Yeah.
Is the best way to put it. So
yeah, I'm excited for you to start getting on that.
Yeah, that'd be exciting.
I mean, what else you guys, something that you guys have that I am incredibly jealous of at specific times of the year is Cobia sight fishing on the flats.
Yeah, and that's something that I haven't like dialed in on. I haven't really done too much because it's such a short time period, I feel like. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure some people argue that, you know, they'll be able to find them a lot longer, but
what time
they're always moving, and they're usually in like, it's hard to say. I mean, it depends on how cold it's been. I think the first time I saw them around was in December, but that was a little bit late. That was like a couple weeks after I had gotten my first boat. So, I mean, granted, it changes every year pretty much, but I saw a lot of good ones in December.
Yeah, because you had your old boat, Splash Zone, as what we like to.
I think
to call her.
I think this has to come up. So if you want me to explain the story,
I would love for you to explain Splash Zone.
I would love to explain it myself. So, you know, first boat I've ever had, and not knowing too much about boats, I kind of just went on Facebook Market, you know, browsed around for a while, and I came across one that I thought was, you know, a great deal and all this and that. It ended up being a good deal, but it was a little bit of a wet rider.
So what I think happened was it was a Scout, right?
Yeah, it was a Scout. Nothing against Scout.
Scout Bay boat. I'm sure the actual boat, the actual like hull, everything about it is great. This specific one had an aftermarket tower on it.
Something like that. Yeah.
And I am fully convinced that tower
was
weighed
way too heavy.
Weighed way more than it should have. And that boat should not have been riding as close to the water line as it was. And you would be sitting there captain seat, you're a little passenger princess on the side.
Yeah.
And not even once, just kind of capping
and
inshore.
You feel it.
You feel it, but you get soaking wet.
Well, I feel like the worst, like the end of it, the part that really solidified the name was the day we sold it. Because I told you about this story.
Yeah.
So guy comes to go look at it, he's like, hey, can I see trial it, all this and that? And I was like, yeah, sure, of course. And so we take it out, and he actually, I think he was like, I forget, he might have been the Coast Guard or something. So he was familiar with boats. And I was like, oh, I'll just stay down here. You can go up in the tower and run it and all that. And so it's windy. It wasn't crazy. Like, it wasn't like rollers or anything, but it was pretty choppy. And as kind of an awkward boat, like Brent was saying, because of the tower, he was fully throttled down in like what felt like 15-mile-per-hour winds. And I had never like throttled down for more than 2 minutes because I've never had to.
Yeah.
And so he's throttled down for about 2 minutes. I'm down below. He's on the tower, and I'm just like, holy crap! Like, this thing is like really pushing some water.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I hear a crack. And I was like, oh, this is not good. I'm like, the worst thing that can happen during a sea trial is you hear a crack or like start smelling gas or something. Well, that crack happened to be the scupper plug, or like the scuppers, whatever you call those, like goofy looking ping pong. You remember that? Like
stop
how
water from coming in.
Whatever it was, like that plastic was actually inside the hull of the boat. And I guess what happened was the water cracked the plastic and cracked like the hull. Like it literally split part of the hull open. So water started gushing in, and immediately I'm in like shin deep water in like 4 seconds. The guy's up in the tower. I'm trying to tell him to stop, and I'm just looking. I'm like, this is great. Like, Splash Zone is a perfect name.
You're trying to sell this boat to this man.
Literally trying to sell it.
He's literally in a sinking boat. Way to go, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Dropping his phone.
All
Party
right,
foul over there.
Intermission.
But no, you're trying to sell this man a boat. He is doing everything he has in his power to test it out. And but my thing is, you told me that story. I'm like, oh man, so like he didn't buy it, and you're like, no, he bought it.
He bought it. That's the greatest
part. He was like, he knew how to fix it, or whatever. Yeah. I was like, all right.
So it was okay, because if you think about it, it would have been really good. And I didn't even tell you this part. It's better that it happened then. I don't know if I told you why.
No.
So he was planning on not trailering the boat. He was planning on running 48 miles south on the boat.
Oh.
So if he had went like, maybe midway and that happened, I don't know what he would have done.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it would have been just him, and that would have been kind of sketchy.
He probably would have ran that in the tower too, and he would just look down.
Well,
he told
me, he was like, well, if that had happened, I probably would have just ran it aground. I was like, good idea. So,
you're smarter than me.
I was over there trying to hit the bilge and scooping water out. I'm like, this isn't good.
I'll just be like, oh my god, throw anchor so we don't drift anywhere, and then you just sink it even faster.
We actually stuffed a towel in it to keep it from.
That makes sense.
We talk about all the bad parts of that boat, but we had so many good times. Like,
we had so many good times on the battery side when we were up in the no motor zone, and we had to call Cito in the no motor zone to come get us.
Dude, it happens. It wasn't even the boat, technically. It was me not charging the battery, or the battery was actually old, rather. But, I mean, George. Just because somebody...
Hey now.
You're a rock star.
You're not tough.
Get your game on. Go play.
Okay.
Anyway.
Sorry for the George break there.
But we had a lot of good times on that boat.
We did. We caught a lot of fish. Kind of circling back to the Cobia, because of the tower that it had, you were able to go on the grass flats and easily find some.
You could run like 30 miles an hour and see a Cobia clear as day.
That's where that one time we were fishing, we were filming, but this happened so fast. We were running on plane. I was down, I think I was just kind of sitting down by like the captain seat or whatever, and JC's up in the tower. I was probably just on my phone scrolling through something, and he just slams this thing off, like halts it. I swear he put it in reverse. Like, this thing stops on a dime.
I stopped really quick.
And he just starts yelling. He's like, grab a pin, huge Cobia, this.
It was a big one.
And everyone knows how I fish. I grab a 2500. I'm like, all right, let's get after this thing. And I grab a pinfish, but we couldn't find this thing. But JC swears this thing was...
We saw it again, but
Oh, you did? Yeah, you're up in the tower, but I never got eyes on it.
I was trying to get you to climb up to look at it, but it was a monster. It's probably 40 plus pounds.
Yeah, but that was the only time that we've been together where we were able to see one, but you were actually able to go out there a couple evenings or something.
Ones. Yeah, like
you didn't get any keepers.
Lower than 30 inches.
I still think that's so cool. But that's still something that we could do on your new boat on the skiff.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I mean, maybe...
You definitely have to know where they're at, because with a tower, you can actually run and look, but with a polling platform, you kind of just have to pop the trolling motor down, which is actually better in a way.
That's what I was going to say.
It kind of forces you to be more quiet, because a lot of times I would idle around like sand patches and the motor was running, and I was like, all right, this is clearly not working. I need to pop the trolling motor down. But they were all spooked by that time. So, I mean, if you know where they're at, it's better to put the trolling motor down early and then stand up there and look.
That's what I was going to say.
Which is probably our plan for next winter-ish.
Yeah, you really didn't target them too much since you've had the new boat. But if, like we were saying, yeah, you just put your troll motor on, you could literally put it on that north setting and just run it, and you just stand up there on the casting platform. I'm sure you can see them from up there.
And another thing is, a lot of people are saying you can catch trout while you're doing it. So I'm like, 2 for 1, basically.
You're literally sitting up there, you got a troll motor going, you're trolling a swim bait behind you or something, and just
sure. I mean, the flat is just, you never know what's out there. I mean, in the same area, we've seen 8-foot nurse sharks, like, like 8-foot nurse sharks, bull sharks. I mean, you never know really.
But
what's on those flats?
So let's talk about your new boat. Let's talk about, does the new boat have a name? Not Splash Zone.
No name
better
yet.
than Splash Zone.
It's you know what they say, like, good things take time, right? So I'm thinking when the name pops up, it pops up. There's no
nothing's come up yet.
I'm not gonna force it and be like, call it something cliche or anything.
So what is it again? It's a
Sterling 18 TS 180 TS 180, something like that. It's basically an 18-foot skiff.
And you got that back in
September.
September?
I think it was September. So.
Okay. And I remember when we went out last week, like we were talking about,
how it gets
I asked
stuck?
you. No. Well, it does. It has gotten stuck.
We assume like it can't get stuck, which gets us more stuck.
Well, yeah, but I asked you. I was like, do you miss?
Oh my gosh, George!
And we got George barking again.
Hey, in case you guys are wondering,
hold on. I think our Uber Eats wings might have just arrived. So here's a quick intermission.
Thanks, George. Thanks for letting us know, buddy.
Hey, now sit. Good boy. So, sorry for the little break. We had Wingstop.
They don't know that.
Oh, it was a much longer break for us than it was for them. But we had Wingstop, Uber Eats, drop it off. Delicious. We ate it, but we're back at it, and we were talking about JC's new boat. So as you were saying, it is a Sterling skiff, right? It is, how big is it?
18 foot.
18-foot skiff. You got it back in September. And we were talking about when we went out last time, when we went fishing last week, how I asked JC, I was like, do you miss anything about the old boat? Talking about like the new boat, I was like, is there anything on that you miss about the old one? And yeah, you said the
not
good
the
times.
bad times.
But you said, like, you pretty much said no. Like, you're just very happy with your new boat. The fact it doesn't, splash up at you when you're on plane and everything. Also just like the fishability of it.
Yeah, I think that, and like people who aren't familiar with boats, or at least people who are newer to boats. Can we talk about this real quick?
Yeah, George wants you to hold the bone for him. If you hold it in your left hand, he'll just sit there and gnaw on it. Don't even worry about him. But for everyone that's listening and not watching the podcast, George has jumped up on the couch. I need to preface that.
So, where were we?
Yeah, maybe him gnawing is not the best.
Wait, hold this a little closer. Here, ready?
Let's get some ASMR in here.
What's that sound like on the mic?
We're just very intently watching George gnaw. He's like holding your hand while you're doing this. This is groundbreaking stuff on the podcast world right now.
This is bonding.
This is JC and George are having a moment right now.
Our arms are crossed.
Pause.
Hold on, pause.
So welcome back. Let's just start all over.
Where were we?
I don't even know. I'm like, let's start over. Let's pretend we just ate Wingstop.
Is this going to be the first podcast?
Yeah, this is going to be the first one I post.
So people need to understand that, like, we're still learning quite a bit.
Oh, I know. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just talking into what seems like a karaoke mic.
We're just having a good time. I got the beatbox.
I feel like I'm about to just break out like "Don't Stop Believing" right here at a bar at like 12:30 a.m. But we don't talk about that. We're gonna be talking about his new boat because that's where we left off. His the Splash Zone 2.0, but it is the Dry Zone.
The Dry Zone.
The Dry Zone. Did we just come up with your boat name?
No.
No, you don't like that as much.
Definitely not keeping that name. But I think I was talking about like how beginner boaters should focus more on something that's smaller and more reliable than go for something big. Because that's where I messed up. I went for something that was like bigger than I should have, if it made sense. Because it had a lot more problems because of how many other things come along with a bigger boat, like the tower, just a bunch of other stuff that if you have a smaller boat, you can focus on a lot more of it and make sure that, it might be smaller, but it's more reliable.
Well, I remember back when you were you were debating on that first boat. You kind of narrowed it down between what was Splash Zone, and you're also looking at a skiff of relatively the same size of the one that you got now. Yep. I remember you leaned more toward the bigger boat because you looked at it as an opportunity to get more people out, as an opportunity to have more space on your boat for what at the time was relatively the same price for the two different boats.
Yeah.
But you're saying that you would recommend not kind of going down that route, like not necessarily a bigger boat is a better boat for depending on your situation.
I definitely think that like older, bigger boats are, because I think there's like a kind of a relationship between the price you pay for, say you have a set price of a boat, you can get an older, bigger boat for that money, or you can get like a smaller, newer boat for that price. And I think I kind of fell into like the bigger, better, kind of thing. And but then you realize that it is cool. It's like, you have a lot of space and stuff, but at the same time you sacrifice reliability, and then it becomes a problem. Then you're not even taking out as many people as you want because you're afraid that it won't start in the morning or something.
Yeah, I remember that was a couple times you were worried about that.
Yeah. And the key, we've had times where the key wouldn't turn, the ignition was weird.
The Livewell kept getting clogged every single time. Like if you ever had...
Start small, basically.
I remember this old boat so vividly with the
all
Livewell.
The problems.
We would go out and granted it was relatively easy. You had the bait dialed in. You had the white bait dialed in. And we would go out and we'd throw the cast net. And he had one Livewell on your boat, but it was like a 65-gallon. It was
absolutely massive.
The entire back seat was a Livewell.
You could keep like bass in there. Like you could turn it into a
You could have put a freaking 4-foot muskie in there if you wanted to.
Easily.
But the drain plug would just get clogged by the scales of whitebait, especially thread fins.
Threadies are just losers.
They just shed them so easily. And I remember you would have to go in there every like 5 minutes and just kind of like
literally brush it with your hands to get it off.
And that is just so...
It's annoying, yeah.
I remember there were so many times like there was just no circulation or anything. It was overflowing and the bait would die. Exactly. And having to keep an eye on that. But your new boat, we haven't had any issues.
Well, so let's like try not to bring some irony into this. So, yeah. I mean, all in all, I would say newer, smaller boat, definitely the way to go. And just take care of the small stuff early. Like get ahead.
Hold on. Alexa, stop playing Christmas music.
What?
Oh, wait.
What?
No way. So we are recording this podcast at my house in my kind of like front room. And back in December, my girlfriend Heather, apparently one night, or she like asked Alexa like, hey, can you play some Christmas music or whatever? She's like, sure, I'd love to do that. And then she's like, would you like me to play Christmas music at sunset? And she's like, yeah, that would be nice. And it really threw me off the first day because I was just like cooking or something and Alexa just started playing music and it really threw me off. We cannot figure out how to stop Alexa from playing Christmas music at sunset. We've literally had her unplugged for like weeks and plugged her back in and she still plays Christmas music at sunset.
Have you tried telling her not to play?
Oh, aggressively. Like we are cursing her out. We're doing everything. We've tried being nice. We've tried not being nice, and she is just not listening. And she just started playing. I don't know if he even picked it up on the bikes.
I didn't even hear it. Yeah, I didn't even hear it.
Oh, it is in my subconscious now.
What song was it? What song? Like,
I couldn't even. As soon as I heard like voices. I'm like, is someone outside? And I realized
I thought Heather was like on the phone or something.
No, that was like Sinatra or something playing some Christmas music.
Jeez.
Round it back around. So
we get off topic. We're still on this topic of boats.
You're talking about your new boat and your Livewell.
Yeah, the Livewell sucked on the old boat. So far, so good on the new boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got Livewell lights that are cool.
Yeah.
There's 2 of them. They work well.
I'm excited to do like a full season coming into summer here on the new boat because you have a couple. I see you already staring at me. You have a couple certain like fishing spots and techniques areas that absolutely fire you up like I've never seen anyone get fired up about anything in my entire life, and that is specifically beach snook fishing. So
we have like only an hour to talk about this, like less than an hour. I could talk about beach snook for like days.
Yeah, so I think
what's the like?
I think let's start off with how did you get into beach snook, because it's not like you grew up beach snook fishing or anything.
So my first snook was like 3 years ago, which is crazy to think about.
That's probably wild for everyone like watching your channel, watching the videos and everything.
I guess people think that I've been in Florida forever. I don't know. I feel like
you give off Florida boy vibes. Yeah.
I guess I've kind of blended in as one, but it seems like a lot of people don't know that I'm like really new to saltwater. Like I did 0 saltwater fishing in Maryland, because Maryland, I mean, it's on a bay obviously, but Chesapeake Bay isn't. It can be freshwater brackish or all that, but saltwater fishing and like actually fishing off the beach is not something I did very much. Like it was all bass fishing, ponds, farm ponds, lakes, all that stuff. But as far as snook go, I started. I was actually one of the first things I targeted when I moved to Florida. I don't know why, but I just thought they were like. I kind of saw them as like more of a variant of a bass, like a bass and like a largemouth and a snook are kind of similar, like dorsal wise.
Similar tendencies too when it comes to
I guess
structure oriented and stuff like that.
It clicked, like snook clicked with me more because I'd grown up bass fishing, and then I had seen videos. I'm sure everybody watching this will know exactly who I'm talking about. Good old Lawson.
Oh, the legend.
The legend. So I mean, watching those videos in Maryland, I definitely saw how exciting it was, because Lawson in his
catching him on the seawall
in his original days, it was just like it was so cool watching them eat. So I guess I had already had like the want to go catch snook before I even moved, and then I moved and I met some people that fish the beaches a lot, and I kind of just tagged along, found some ways, and snook are now probably my favorite to catch, as you might know.
So last summer, I tried personally. I was trying for the tarpon. I feel like we
go our separate ways kind of in the summer. We're just like, hey, you want to tag along? And
well, besides black drum, we would meet up for black drum every once in a while.
Very true.
That's a different topic. But as far as like in the morning, like if we're going in the morning and we're going fishing, and I was going on my boat, he was going on his boat, or going from shore or going from the beach or anything. In the mornings, I was going for the tarpon off the beach. You were going for the snook.
Every day.
9 times out of 10, I would get a fish. Every once in a while, I would get lucky. I would catch one or like get a couple bites or whatever, and I would call you afterwards, and I would just be like, "Yeah, man, I had 1 bite today. Saw a bunch of fish. Didn't get to the boat. Jumped off right away. How'd you do?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, we caught like a dozen overslots in about an hour, and then I went home and like took a nap." I'm like, what?
That's funny you say that, because I would literally go fishing. I would wake up so obnoxiously early. I would set my alarm. The times we didn't go, I would be up. This is no joke. I was up, or like before 5. Like, my alarm would be set for 5, and I would not wake up like until 5.
Freaking like excited for it. Yeah.
4:45 rolls around, I would be up and ready to go. So I mean, I was out there like super early. And then, obviously waking up that early, you're tired. So I'd go home and take a nap.
Yeah. But just the fact that like,
it's windows is what it is. It's like people just need to know that it's early in the morning. It's like that's all there is to it.
Yeah. But it was like one of these things, like I would go out I'm like grinding. I'm happy to get like a bite or two, and
Well,
not
it's a
even land
tarpon.
it like
You can't compare tarpon to snook.
yeah, like hook one and it jumps. I had it hooked for like. There's so many days I went out. Like everyone's watching this video. They're like, "What are you talking about? You only caught one. You only posted one video." Like there's so many mornings I'll go out and like hook one, and they would like jump off in like the first 30 seconds or like a minute.
Yeah.
And I just was like, "All right, I can't. That's not a video. I can't like really use that." And I would call you, and I was like excited. Like yeah, I went out like got 2 bites. Like I actually got the hook into one. Like fought it for like a minute, whatever. It jumped off, and you're just like, "Oh yeah, I had a decent morning. I got like." 10. I got one that was like close to 40 and like all this. It wasn't a big deal or anything. But I remember the first day that we went out and we tried targeting them. You had already gotten a couple. You had gotten a couple off the beach and you had done pretty well.
Yeah.
And then we went out and we learned what we needed to do.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And we figured it out. We got it dialed in. And that is when you just started crushing them. Granted, you also started catching your own bait as opposed to going to the bait shops and getting your own grunts.
That's a whole other topic. I feel like people who, I mean, there's nothing against buying bait at a shop.
No, not at all.
It's different when you do it yourself, basically, I think.
One, cheaper. Like, yes, in the long run, like buying a trap, buying sardines and everything. We could
go over all this. I mean, traps get stolen, all that, but...
Oh, I didn't even, I completely forgot about
remember
that.
I had
a sore subject?
I had like... it's funny because I had summer coming up and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go spend, $100 on traps. So I spent $100 on traps. And within...
Which is how many traps?
I think it was like 5.
Okay.
So I had like 5 traps. I was ready. I was like, these grunts are... I'm going to be hurting this population, right? So turns out I put traps out. And I think it was like... How many did I say I lost the day before Cameron? You and I and Cameron went? I think I lost like 2 traps...
Yeah.
The night before, like the day prior to when we went. So I needed a bunch of bait and I didn't have it because 2 of the traps were stolen. But then a couple weeks before that, I also had 2 traps stolen. So
you were down to 1 trap.
I was like, I have 1 trap and that's just not going to cut it.
No.
So luckily you can still sabiki, grunts, pinfish, all that.
Yeah,
like,
you could.
It's just more, I guess it's more annoying because you have to bait each hook on the sabiki and all that. But I mean, it's definitely worth it.
Did you find that using a sabiki versus a trap got you the bigger ones, or was there really no like difference? Because it seemed like when we went out and we were snook fishing off the beach and we're using light bait, using grunts, using pinfish, you swore about the biggest ones that you could get. You wanted.
Oh yeah, you want like baits to stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, so
snook
and obviously the easiest way to do that is to set a trap.
Yeah.
Just put a buoy, throw it on a grass flat, throw some sardines. But I didn't know if there was like, if you found that you were getting bigger ones with a sabiki versus.
Well, you'll definitely get the ones that can't fit in the trap.
Like, so there are some that can't even fit in the trap.
Like there's ones that are just like almost like the ones we get offshore, like a small offshore grunt.
Little Key West snapper.
Literally, those are the ones that they're ones that are about bigger than your hand. They don't last.
That's a huge bait.
They're huge.
I mean, granted, we talk about like using like ladyfish and mullet, but it's a different size to it, I guess.
Yeah, I just think that the bigger the bait is, especially when there's a group or like a school of snook and they're all competing over like who's gonna kill it. Because I guess a lot of people maybe not know that like snook don't always eat the grunt. Like they actually sometimes just try to kill it.
Isn't it because they like
eat
the grunts? Yeah, the grunts eat
grunts.
Eggs.
Literally, like
do pinfish do that as well? Is that why they also hit pinfish?
Yeah,
that makes sense. Okay,
I think I don't know if this is like could be a theory. I'm not sure, but I wonder if certain snook. I don't think we've ever even talked about this, but I wonder if certain snook tend to eat grunts more because they were from offshore and they see grunts more. I wonder if some snook eat pins more because that's where they've resided most, like inshore.
So one thing that, so it's kind of like, I don't want to say common knowledge, but like it is known that like the snook breed offshore.
Right.
They
their eggs
spawn.
Float. Yeah.
They don't necessarily spawn on the beach, right?
No, I think I'm not exact. I'm no biologist.
You just know how to catch them. Yeah.
I know how to catch them, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm curious now. Bob, are you?
Yeah, Bob's the behind the camera Google guy that you see on like Rogan or something.
The Google Uber Eats the gummy worm.
But that's what I've always heard. When I dropped the GoPro down on Granted, we're filming this in the beginning of March. I have no idea when this is going to post.
This is just all over.
Like, I just filmed and posted a couple of videos of me going to an artificial reef here in late February, and there's snook already at this reef. And I always thought that they went offshore to spawn. They went out there and like lay their eggs, whatever. I didn't think they did it on the beach. I thought they just like congregated on the beach, which would make sense as to why, like, if they go on these near shore wrecks, why they don't like grunts, because there's so many grunts out there.
So here's what I just realized. Okay. So
spawn on the beach?
I knew that.
Okay. So they do spawn on the beach. No,
here's why I was going to say that, because so I guess to give like a little timeline, snook, I mean, this sounds like good education to tell about like where they go and move. Because we were talking about this earlier a little bit, how snook kind of move out of creeks, rivers, places like that.
This time of year.
Well, and they move to more like inshore flats, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And then they make their way to the beach. So once they're on the beach, I feel like there's a couple different phases. I mean, there's the phase where the water's like super duper clear in like June, and you can see straight down. It's like really blue, bluish green, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, later, that's when they're, I guess, congregated the most on the bottom, like near a pass or right off inside the troughs, I guess is a good way to put it. I feel like that's when they haven't bred yet. It's still June, so you'll get these like huge fat snook.
Females,
but then towards like July, I think it's a certain full moon in July, from what I've heard, that after that they're like thin. Do you remember catching some that are like? Did we catch some that were like thin?
I don't think I caught my
They'll even
first
fight.
beach
They'll
snook.
fight a lot less too. You'll notice it. They'll come in about 30 seconds to a minute quicker, and you got to get them back in the water. I
remember we would go out and, like we were talking about, like I was really focusing on trying to get tarpon on my own. But the days that we did go out together, early on, I didn't get a single one off the beach besides males. I was just getting males out the beach or big trout. I remember getting big trout.
Dude, yeah, those
it wasn't until like later, or no, it was late June, early July, that I've actually got like a couple off the beach, and I can look back at photos, but I'm pretty sure they were pretty skinny already at that point.
Maybe.
I didn't get it. I did not get like the 40s like you were getting, like the 40 pluses. I was getting like still like maybe over slots, maybe like right at that level.
I feel like the bigger, fatter snook were early in the summer, and then later they they're spawned out like Bob was saying, they spawn off the beach. But I wonder like what we were talking about the grunts, if there's any correlation between the pinfish and the grunts. Like I wonder why. Because I know people use pinfish off the beach a lot, but I usually tend to use grunts.
Well, another big thing is we were talking about like the Key West snapper, which are white grunts, is like their actual name.
Yeah.
But when you go to a bait shop, when you go to buy so-and-so grunts,
yeah,
they are pigfish, which is more of like an inshore
grass area. Like
grass grunt is also like a name for them. Like it's two different species, but you were able to catch them on those two and pinfish, right?
Yeah, all three worked, and they're all found inshore. So I mean, it depends on. You can definitely get pinfish pretty much on any grass fat.
Yeah,
I mean we can both agree with that. But then like some grunts, I guess the grass grunts, the pigfish.
Yeah,
you can get those, but I don't think there's as many as those. Like I don't think their population is nearly as high as pinfish, or at least
is that what you found in your area? At least is on your grass, you're getting more of like the white grunts or whatever.
Well, I just think that there's got to be some sort of structure. I guess like bridges would be a good one.
Yeah,
near rocks for grunts. For people who are strictly land based fishing, sabikis with shrimp or squid. We learned that squid
stays on so much.
Squid
better.
becomes so rubbery after like a little bit. Yeah. It just stays on the hook.
Put a little piece
especially
of tentacle.
The tentacles. This is one of the biggest tips that I was given with what we were talking about catching bait is tentacles. Those little, you just cut them into little chunks and they stay on a sabiki way better than even the regular part of the squid, which is even better than shrimp.
Oh, shrimp's bad.
Shrimp's bad.
Shrimp's you're rebaiting your sabiki every.
Exactly.
What I used to do back in the day is I would use gulp shrimp. I don't use gulp shrimp too much anymore. But what I would do is once they got like puffered or they got pinned, they lost their tail, I would save them and then kind of chunk that up and then put it on a sabiki and that would stay on. But squid is
so
way cheaper. It's way more available at every bait store you could get at like Walmart.
Stinks away. It smells terrible though. Like if you leave that, make sure not to leave that in your back hatch.
I wonder
massive.
if for like, I'm trying to think about people that don't have access to a boat, so they can't throw like a trap or anything.
Yeah. So, I mean, I did that for a while.
Yeah.
Like I didn't always have a boat to get around and catch snook. So, I mean, originally when I first started, I would go to bridges and I would use shrimp, which I would, looking back, I would switch that to squid with a sabiki and then take it to different beaches in the area.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much all the beaches will have snook. It's just certain parts of the beach won't have as many, I guess, because there's different. What people don't see is the depth, which you can tell by the waves crashing. Like if it's shallow, there's a little sandbar. You're going to see the waves crashing. Shallow, like you'll see the height of the waves a little bit, I guess, shorter. And in between that and you is probably a trough because that's where the snook are going to be. They're going to be sitting in that trough. So I mean, between that and getting your grunts and finding some snook, it's all about walking the beach.
Yeah. So
I wonder how many miles I've walked on a beach in chasing snook.
And really honestly, I wonder in one summer, I remember.
Oh, my first summer, I was like hardcore beach snook.
It was like every morning, right?
Oh yeah, I was still in school, high school. It was so summer was like.
Yeah, nothing better to do.
I had nothing better to do. I was just gonna walk the beach and.
You're home by 9 o'clock.
It seemed like it.
Yeah.
I was getting up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, if not earlier.
But yeah, so. I was wondering, did you ever go to the beach with sabikis and try and catch bait from the beach itself, or you always try to go to like a bridge or something or a pier or something and try to get the bait?
You can get mahara and pinfish, but that's the thing. You want to use the bait that people aren't going out of their way too much for. Like people who are going to the beach fishing say, "Oh, I'll just catch bait at the beach," right?
Yeah, that's what.
So they're catching like maharas and pinfish, maybe mullet or something. Yeah. But I feel like the best way to catch the fish you're going for is to take bait that doesn't belong in that area and use that.
But that snook still love, and they're like, that they're fiend for.
You take a grunt that lives in the rocks at a bridge, right? It's way out of its habitat. It's on the sand. So these things, what people don't understand, like the contrast in the sand, like sand is so light and the grunts that we catch off the rocks and stuff, they're so dark. Like picture, so snook, that just sticks out like a sore thumb. Pinfish are kind of like a glare because they're kind of, they're pretty reflective, I guess. Yeah. But like the dark contrast, it sticks out way more. So because that bait doesn't belong on the beach. It belongs on the rocks.
Yeah.
I think that attracts the snook more.
That makes sense.
Like when we go offshore, we take like, for example,
pins and stuff. Yeah.
Like a grouper on a wreck or something or a reef pretty far has not seen a pinfish lately. Is it going to turn it down if it hasn't seen it lately?
No. Like it's something new.
It knows that it doesn't belong there.
Yeah. You drop, I don't know. You drop one of those Key West snapper. You drop one of those white grunts down there. Maybe they see it. I mean, my biggest grouper ever came on one.
That thing was massive.
Yeah, but it came on
crazy.
One of those. But it's one of these things, you take a bait that you know that they like, that they don't find in the area very often, and it is all the grouper, all the snook in this case scenario are going to be kind of going for it.
For sure. Just put a bait where it doesn't belong.
What was the biggest one you got last year? What's the biggest one you've done ever?
So I guess as accurate of a measurement as possible.
Oh, we're gonna get into
this because we have people that they know who they are. They're probably not watching this, but
they probably
maybe they are. So I will mention it. But yeah. So as the most accurate measurement possible, I'd never ruler that day. Okay, yep. I know people are like, you should have a ruler, all this and that, but I didn't have a ruler. So I figured, how could you really mess up or at least be too inaccurate on laying the fish down next to the rod? Marking and nicking where the tail ends after pinching it.
Yeah,
I thought that was genius.
And how big was that form?
42 inches.
42.
42. But that's people will say that's not that big and all that, but
because we did have for the West Coast. You always got the East Coast versus the West Coast,
East Coast,
and they're spoiled over there with their dumb big snook, and we're over here with our finicky little 30 inchers, and then
they're very finicky.
Yeah, and people are always going to give us crap for that, but 42-inch, my biggest ever, which I caught. Oh, wow, this is gonna make me sound like probably over 10 years ago now. Like
was that long ago?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
It was 40 on the dot.
Was that on cup bait? Is that what you said?
It was on cut pinfish on wire while I was going for sharks.
Oh my gosh.
I'm very happy that snook was so dumb. But yeah, the fact that you caught multiple high 30s last year.
Yeah, the average was like 33 to 39, I would say. So we got a couple, like, I guess more of the right around 35 was like the most caught average.
Yeah, which overslap.
It kind of just varied a little bit each way. So like most of them were 35, some were 32. Like I think your first one was like 33 or so, wasn't it? 32, 33.
Something around there, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And then the bigger ones like weren't as common, but
we also got the males. So
yeah.
The one thing I'm
yeah,
assuming people that are watching this video are kind of somewhat familiar. Hardcore fishermen.
Yeah.
And one thing about snook is they are hermaphrodites to the point where every snook is born male. And I don't know specifically what size. I don't know if it's kind of location based or like environmental based or anything like that.
I always heard like 18 to like 27 inches or so.
Well, that's a big range.
But I'm like, how do they know that?
Yeah. There's some sort of range
FWC.
Where males turn into females, and it's usually like they did that evolutionary wise, so the bigger ones can hold more eggs. So then the male, we could get into evolutionary biology.
The whole biology thing.
My whole college career could come back here in a split second. Pretty much, if you're catching a snook, and it is, we can roughly say this: if it's over 30 inches, it's a female, and that time of year they're there. We just looked it up; they're there to breed. So all those snook, especially early in the summer, the bigger ones are full of eggs.
Yes.
And probably the heaviest that they
are
can
definitely
possibly
the heaviest.
Be.
Yeah.
So was that what time of year did you get that 42?
I think that was June, I want to say. I feel like
was it fat or was it I don't even remember.
It was heavy.
It was heavy one?
It was a heavy fish. Dude, I think a lot of the bigger snook for some reason come in June. Because it's right before they spawn. So
you said July, right? Is like the big
spawn.
Yeah,
July. I want to say if I'm remembering this correctly. So I've heard this from a few people. The full moon in July is like when they actually spawn. So
okay,
because they know that it's like we could get all into the biology thing again, but I think what it was because tides are stronger in like around the full moon.
Yeah, they are.
So they like instinctively know to lay eggs when the tide is
really flowing,
ripping, which is crazy to think. Like people who don't think the full moon affects anything, it clearly does.
So we talked about how the eggs and everything go offshore. Are they like actively spawning on the outgoing tide then? So then it like flushes out and when they're on the beach?
Nah, I don't know.
Now we're getting on some next level stuff
This is too in depth.
We're going to be out there when they're doing their deed. We're going to be out there when they're...
We got to be down there with an underwater GoPro.
Yeah, the males are going to be out there, the females, and it's going to be wild. It's going to be a full moon outgoing, and we're going to be out there and see some wild stuff. But
see some pollen floating.
Pollen. Yeah, we're going to see some pollen and some eggs floating by. It's going to be soupy.
Caviar.
It's going to be soupy out there.
Jeez.
But
oh my gosh.
So
back to
wait, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. So based off of what you know, when do they start showing up in numbers?
Well, to be honest, I've seen them. This is crazy. I think I told you this last year. I saw them off the beach as early as late February.
Which kind of lines up with like my underwater, the footage at the reef with them being out there.
So I've seen them as early as, it was last year actually, after I'd gotten the boat, I noticed that there was snook on the beach in like late February, which is crazy because the water's nowhere near as warm.
No, it's like maybe 70
especially off the
right
beach.
Now.
Yeah, it's especially off the beach. So I was shocked at that. But I guess like the biggest push of them, I would say, like biggest school, probably in May, depending on when the full moon is.
And then hot and heavy time of year, June, July.
June into July. And then August. You can still catch them in August, but it's not. They're all like, I guess the water gets so hot and it actually becomes murky. I don't know if you've ever seen it on the beach where it gets kind of like cloudy almost.
In August?
It loses its like greenish, like vibrant color.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And it kind of gets, but that's like also, we can talk about red tide too. Like it's around that time of the year that the water gets kind of cloudy.
I'm hoping us talking about this in March isn't like a precursor to like when this actually posts of like what's happening down south like right now. But that's a whole different topic. So when you were talking about, you were seeing them in February, was that the big females or was it like, did you notice that, like,
they
the
were big.
males?
Oh, they were big. Yeah.
Because
they are separate. It's weird. Remember how one part of the beach we would catch big snook, and then the other side we would just start catching 20s?
Like specific spots. Like there was one.
Like they're completely separate.
Deep trough. Yeah. And
it could be that.
It was just maybe location, maybe just kind of like situation, like the deeper trough. Like there was pretty much, without giving it away, there was.
Any beach has the same type structures. I mean, it has the pass.
Yep.
And then there's the beach side where there's the little troughs.
And then the little inside part.
Right.
But where we were really going, there was a really deep trough and then a not so deep, like obviously like there were sandbars and everything, but there was like probably like where it'd go down to like 3-4 feet.
Like 3 or 4 feet.
3 or 4 feet, and then the deep trough is like 12 to 15.
At least, yeah.
At least. Crazy. And it seemed like the big females, like the big breeders and everything, really stacked up on the deep part of it. And then the males, like the little like lower to mid 20s, maybe getting up to that slot range right at like 27, were on the like 3-foot trough.
Yeah, I thought about this. Did we catch any like male snook, quote unquote male snook, because we don't really know. Did we catch any male snook where we thought? I think we did one day. Do you remember that on greenback? Because greenbacks were going by.
We would see them, but
that was like one time.
So that was on like the actual like beach. That was on like that was in like 2 feet of water where then it like dropped off.
No, we caught some off the deep side too.
Oh, did we?
Remember? We could see them coming down.
I remember sight fishing them on the actual like beach part, but I don't remember.
No, we were on the deep side fishing. They were coming down. You could see them coming down.
Yeah,
you'd
I remember that.
Get a greenback, and you pitched it to them a couple times.
On the deep side?
Yep.
Oh, jeez. Oh. Yep. So, okay, so they are mixed in, but it seemed like the school.
But yeah, so going back to what we were saying, it seems like they're separate. Like
but did you see the males first, or you were saying
the females first? Yeah,
females first, and then the males show up.
Yeah, but I also feel like, I mean, the males are probably more so around islands and flats that time of year, so they're kind of near. Yeah. They're nearby. They're not like far away.
But when it's time to spawn, then the guys know what to do, and they go out there. And
I guess, yeah,
maybe that makes sense.
Yeah,
but then there's also big trout out there.
Those are some huge trout.
So what? I know you've talked to me about this. What gear would you recommend for beach snook? Because I know you felt like you were a little undergunned last year.
I was. Honestly, I've come to the point rather, where I've actually learned that go heavier because you'll catch more. And I know people are probably like, what do you mean by that? I'll explain. I feel like with lighter tackle, it's nice when you're walking the beach. You're not carrying this heavy setup down the beach 3 miles with a bucket, with an aerator, all that. It can be nicer to carry a lighter rod, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're specifically targeting, if you're not having to walk the beach much and you know where they're at, I would say take a heavier setup. Because where I went wrong this past summer was I spent a lot of time fighting these fish, and luckily, because the water didn't get so hot, they all took off fine, right? So that's you know me and Snook, like they gotta stay.
You do not.
They gotta stay healthy.
You do not want any issues with them.
I hardly even want to keep them out of the water for a picture now. But so where I went wrong was I was using too light a tackle when there was too many of them, and what that did is when they're pushing through, I would end up actually catching less. Like if I had maybe a 5 or 6K, I could have probably doubled the amount of snook I caught.
What were you using?
3,000s and 4,000s, which isn't.
I thought you were about to say like a 2,000, 2,500.
I've done it.
Oh, I'm sure you have.
I've done it. But
I'm the king of doing that. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, wait a second. I mean, we're talking about
like
the guy
you're talking to, right?
The guy that catches like 35-inch snook out of docks with a 2,500 and a medium light.
I'm like, what? Like
on a greenback? Yeah. You're like, what is this? Should I be using something heavier?
Yeah.
Clearly, but I feel like I definitely went wrong with using too light of tackle. And if I had to go back, I would probably use a 5 or 6K. I think for charters, especially because, is this like, should I be?
Oh, yeah, this is March. You can say whatever you want to say.
I don't have my license yet, but I will.
Whatever he ends up naming his business, because we're literally talking about this, I will plug that on at least a video right here.
Great.
But you want to talk about your little charter service that you're
Yeah, so people probably don't know because I don't really go out talking to too many people aside from Brent about stuff like
he doesn't have many friends.
I don't have many friends. So so I got a text from my buddy, and he was telling me that C School is offering OUPV, which is like the 6-pack captain's license class over winter break. So I was like, you know what? I'm not taking any winter classes. Let me try this. So I ended up going there, passing all the tests, and now I am waiting on my license.
Yeah.
And so that goes with the point, though, of what I was saying is I would definitely give people heavier tackle for those bigger snook, because it's a matter of they don't really know what they're doing. The snook, you don't want to play with them. You don't want to play with them too long.
Yeah.
And the faster they land that one, the faster you get another bait out and get another one to make their day even better.
Yeah, I feel like right at that 5K level for those big of fish, is that perfect balance where it's like you still get to fight them, you still get
you'll feel they're
but you're able to put a good amount of heat on.
Yeah, exactly. And I started thinking about it, if I handed somebody a rod and they fought I don't know, 35-inch snook on a 3 or 4K for 15 minutes, which is absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
That'd be 15 minutes of waste because there's probably more snook passing through.
Yeah.
You could just get that one in quicker, get the picture.
It's like, would you rather catch one
and then if
35-inch snook took you 20 minutes, or you want to catch a couple that you get a bunch of pictures, like if you're talking charter clients and everything. I feel like definitely the constant action, especially with new hookups and everything, is kind of more important.
And I'd just feel bad if for some reason that was the end of the school passing through, say, because they do move with the tide. That's just how.
That's what I was also gonna bring that up.
Yeah. So incoming, outgoing, they're moving. That's what they do. I mean, that's all they're doing when it's incoming or outgoing. So I feel like if you were to catch maybe the tail end of the school and they fought it for 10 minutes or so, and that school passes, and then that's at the end of the day they only got one, but they could have gotten 3 or 4.
Yeah.
That's that. I'd feel bad.
Yeah.
So
that's one thing I was gonna bring up. Tides. So it needs to be moving, but doesn't matter which way.
I've had luck on both. I can't
at the
say
same spot.
Yeah. Okay. Consistent factors, like the same spot, same time, because when you're out every day, it's the same. If you're going, because the tide's different, it's 45 to an hour difference, or 30 to 45 minute difference
between me and you,
roughly. I'm saying, it's a little bit later each day.
Yeah,
the low tide.
Oh yeah.
So what I think is, for example, if you go out 5:30 in the morning and the tide is just starting to rush incoming, then at the same time tomorrow it's going to be a little lower or slack. So that if you just keep going 45 minutes earlier that day, you're going to catch a little bit before it. So you can get a little bit more of that window, because it's all about timing the tides.
Yeah.
I think that start of the incoming is one of the best.
Yep.
Because that's when the water's been still so long that the snook kind of, maybe they get antsy.
As soon as it starts
moving. They might get
moving.
antsy. I don't know. Maybe they're just down there all right, we're just waiting on this water to start moving. And then they start moving.
But at slack, it's pretty, that's just standard for pretty much all fishing, I feel
I think for some reason it seems like any fish.
Yep.
Even offshore, we've noticed. That's the crazy part, is even offshore, you'd think that 65 feet down that it wouldn't affect it too much, but
it's all that current.
Clearly it does.
Yeah, no, that's something that I've really been paying attention a lot more to in the past year, is really trying to plan our offshore trips and honestly our timing when we go out there and really trying to fish these spots with the tide moving.
Right.
And also something that I know a lot of the people that fish inside the bay really utilize is looking at the major and minor feeding times, which is something you can find online. You just do a quick Google and then you just look up your area. And really, it takes into consideration the tides and the moon and some other factors. But it will give you like there's 2 majors and 2 minors roughly every single day of about a 2-hour window. And the major just is when the fish are supposed to be like just firing off. And a minor is like when it's supposed to be just like a little bit better than normal. And that is something I've really kind of like utilized a lot more here in the offshore game. And I've actually like noticed, because there were so many times that we would go offshore and we would just be fishing, we'd be fishing a spot, and we're catching fish, and then it just stops.
It would shut off like a switch.
And it wasn't even tide. Like we kept track of the tide. We know like tide just started moving or something. We know like slack tide isn't for another like 2-3 hours, but fishing just stopped. We tried moving spots, and it's just stopped. And it's something that I've really taken into consideration here in the past couple months, at least. That I'm excited to like move forward with. But I'm wondering have you noticed anything like that when it comes to beach snook, where it's like you're fishing, it's not tide, but it just kind of shuts down?
Yeah, but what I personally think it is they're in schools, and you'll have a hot like 30 minutes, and then once the school passes through, you're either going to move with it, or it's going to go past you. So, or there's going to be another school
there's
behind
not fish there or
it's
something.
Just, it's I mean, it's hard to catch fish where there's not fish, right? So I mean, you got to make sure you're like in the right spot at the right time, but a lot of that's just trial and error.
Yeah.
Like you could try fishing one part of the beach at a certain time, and then fish maybe a different part of the beach and the way I would keep it consistent is fish it at the same. Every tide's not the same, right?
No,
but it can be close. But it can be close. Like you can almost just look at the sand and know that it was like this 45 minutes earlier yesterday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
it might be
it might be a little bit
2
different.
feet higher or 2 like whatever lower, but it's the same. It's going to be if you
you can look at the sand and kind of tell that 45 minutes earlier yesterday if you're going out every day, but you can definitely tell that, and then kind of just like trial and error. Try one side of the beach at that time, and then if that doesn't work, try a different part at that exact point in the tide, because it's not going to be the same time, but it's going to be that same point in the tide.
Yeah.
And then you're going to knock out, okay, well, that didn't work, but the tide was the same. So, I mean, it's just the best way to trial and error it.
So let's just conclude it with like a little like Spark Note version.
Spark Note version. This sounds like high school.
Oh, yeah. Spark Notes saved my life. But let's say you are talking to a guy at a bait shop, and he
needs like 1 minute to like go over.
He's like, hey, I'm not able to get out on the beach every single day. I'm not able to do this every single day, but I do want to get out there and try and catch some snook.
Yeah.
What do you recommend? You recommend him going to the bait shop, getting grunts, I'm assuming.
If they have it.
Yeah. But as far as like setups and time of year and everything, like what tips would you give a random, let's call him a subscriber, subscriber at a bait shop that is talking to you that wants to catch beach snook for the first time ever?
Okay, so I would definitely go with the grunts first off. I think that would eliminate a lot of the what if I don't catch anything? Because if they were there, they were going to eat it. If they were there and hungry, they would eat it. Or even if they weren't, because we said they killed them. But I would say take the grunts and go to where there's moving water. Let kind of the water and the current do the work for you for covering water. I know a lot of people that kind of just like flip. I've done this too. Just flip a little spot and then move down a little bit. But mainly covering the water is easiest when the tide is ripping. Like you can let a bait, as long as there's no boats around or anything and you're not going to get tangled on anything, you can let the bait just drift pretty far away. And that's how you cover the most water. Because if you're casting every if you're casting every 2 seconds, the bait's out of the water, it's going to die and stuff. So just cover water with the current rather than, walking or moving around too much. And then pretty much just fish around the full moons is what I would say. Because that's when I'd say that's when your chances are like the highest.
I know this because we were just talking about this. Have you noticed anything with new moons and like snook off the beach?
I never pay attention to that.
Fair enough.
I know the full moons are pretty strong in the terms of moving snook around.
Yep.
So I would say the week leading up to a full moon probably be one of the best. But that's if they're there. So I feel like to a random person asking, I would say make sure, to not make assumptions about full moons unless you know they're there. Because if you go fishing on a full moon and if you're fishing a part of the beach that's like super shallow, you can see there's no fish and you're fishing for some reason, then you're gonna realize, okay, the full moon doesn't have any part in this because it's just a matter of where you're fishing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't make assumptions about the full moon. I wouldn't assume, because I did this. I'll even say I made assumptions. Okay, the full moon's coming up, so like I'm gonna catch so many snook. They're gonna be everywhere. They're gonna be eating everything. But if you put yourself in the wrong spot, the full moon doesn't work.
You got to fish where the fish are, kind of thing.
Yeah,
that makes sense. And then, like we were talking about, like troughs and moving water and deeper areas,
passes, jetties. I feel like jetties are a good thing.
Jetties are pretty good in the summers, from what I've heard. I mean,
yeah.
There's a reason I'm letting JC do all the talking here when we're talking about beach snook, because he has absolutely schooled me pretty much every single time we've ever gone out and tried to get beach snook, and it is something I will never claim to be anywhere close to an expert about. So that's why I'm glad he's here to kind of talk about it.
I feel like my snook count off the beach.
That camera died. We can keep talking.
Is that one still filming? Because I'm still talking.
Yeah.
I feel like what it is my snook, like the count of snook, is equivalent to like your redfish on cut bait. Like,
yeah,
I feel like it's a good way to put it. Like, that's definitely
like it's just one of these things that everyone kind of has their
own specific,
like, like
strong point.
I feel like we take pride in like really trying to like try new things and like do different things. But when it comes to these specific times of year and these specific
definitely
topics, where it comes to me with the beach tarpon, you with the beach snook, cut bait redfish, mangroves at high tide, that's something that also you have utilized up by you pretty well.
Yeah,
in some of your areas.
Yeah, it definitely works.
Yeah, and then wintertime, I mean, there's specific things at specific times of year that each of us do differently that we will say that I will say hands down, beach snook.
Yeah, and it just
10 times more than me.
It keeps us busy on both ends. I feel like because you're on something at one point, I'm on something at one point, and whenever we're, on something, just hey, let's go catch some fish. So it works out perfect.
Once one of us gets on a hot bite, we just kind of reach out to the other person.
Yeah.
And another thing with that time of year is the black drum, where it's just like, hey, the tides are everything lining up. We go out there and get those, but it's one of these things that we just kind of, if one of us is on them, we'll let each other know, unless I'm being stubborn and trying to get the tarpon,
which I totally get it.
Last year,
I get it.
You're just like, yeah,
it's intriguing.
I just got 10 yesterday. You want to, or I'm going out again tomorrow. I'm like, but dude, I
there's
saw
so many tarpon.
I saw like 100 tarpon. I didn't get any of the heat, but I need to go try them again.
It's addictive.
I guess that's kind of like my thing, at least that time of year, is a tarpon. But last year you were able to hook one, right? You were able to.
That was 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Dude, I vividly remember.
Yep.
JC is on the boat. It was me and my buddy Tay and JC, and pretty much my goal was to get you on a tarpon, and you hooked one
quickly. I felt like I felt like we were only out there for like a half hour.
This thing 150 easy all day. Jeez. And jumps like immediately. But one thing about tarpon is like a lot of them, each one has its own kind of personality. There's like certain tarpon that will jump their heart out, and usually if they jump a lot, then they tire out within 20 minutes to a half hour, depending on their size, kind of thing. Or you have the ones that jump once or twice, but then bulldog you and will fight you for about an hour. And that's the one that JC seemed to have hooked. It jumped right at the beginning, so we were able to see how big it was, but it ran. It took like 200 yards a line.
Like 200 yards in 30 seconds to a minute?
Yeah, as we're like reeling up our lines, and I was getting on like, I stayed on the trolling motor. I was getting the trolling motor remote. I was getting everything ready, and we were chasing it. This boat started running down the beach at us. And the tarpon you hooked.
Oh yeah,
we were probably like 50 yards off the beach, and then it ran kind of offshore. And this boat was going to run in between us and the tarpon.
Yep.
And we start yelling at it. I'm sure Tate was yelling some words. Tate
really
don't want to repeat it on this podcast, so I don't have to edit it too much. But I started like hitting like the horn on the boat and whatever, and they did not They did not let up. They didn't turn. They didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And I thought that tarpon was going to be gone right then and there, and you're about to lose it that way.
Yeah, we thought it was going to cut.
I don't know if it dove deep or whatever, but we were good. And then you fought it for what?
How long was that? It's hard to tell when you're actually like fighting a fish.
I know. I recorded it, but I don't remember if I still have the footage.
It was probably close to a half hour, I thought, right?
Yeah,
20 minutes, maybe 20
and
minutes.
We get it freaking close, and then just.
Well, what it was is it started running towards the boat, and I had caught up to it, and I thought it popped off, and then it had ran back out again, and then as it had ran back out again, it just popped.
Yeah. So. I mean, you've caught smaller ones.
They're like it's like a roller coaster with tarpon. It goes up, goes down. You're like, oh, this is great. Oh my god, this sucks.
It is such a love-hate with them.
It really is.
And there's so many mornings I'll go out, like we were talking about. I'll see 100 of them. I'll see 100 of them in an hour and a half, and then not even literally. There's some mornings I'll go out and not even get a single bite. I'm using pinfish under a bobber like I do every single day. Now I get a single bite, but then I go out the next day or 2 days later, and I'll get 6 bites, and I'll like land one and like fight 2 for like a half hour kind of thing, and it's something that I really want you to get on, and
it is
I
exciting.
Can't wait.
Yeah,
that's something like I'm going to really focus a lot of my attention on that. I said that last year, but I'm really going to focus.
Right. It's because the Snook was definitely trickier for you this summer too. Like,
yeah, I think I only got one that was like anywhere close to overslide, and if it was like 34.
Yeah, I mean, it's always one of those things where you try to get somebody on something and you just want to help them out, but for some reason it's a lot harder than just catching one yourself. Like, for me, Snook, for you, tarpon, like
it's one of these things that, like we were talking about, like you can never know, like act like you know it all, because we're still going out there, and I mean, we're not even close to anything like experts or anything. We're just a couple dudes that go out there and fish, but
just having fun.
We go out there, and pretty much every single time we go out, we learn something new. Like this grass technique with the shrimp, and when it comes to, you learned a lot about the beach snook this year. You learn something every single year. I learned about the tarpon a little bit more every single year. We learned about the black drum and the schools, and every year, every time you go out, you learn a little bit more, and you get a little bit more knowledge, and you're able to utilize that a little bit more. Like these offshore trips I was just doing with the near shore and like the redfish, like people have already seen the video at this point. Like the redfish on near shore reefs, and we were going out and freelining, and it's just something that like you go out there and it blows our mind. But it's something that like, I'm sure someone that's lived here their entire life and has fished here their entire life, and it's like, that's already experienced that. Like it's something that it's like, oh yeah, it's just this time of year, and it's like you're always constantly learning new things out there.
I think fishing wouldn't be as fun if you knew everything. I feel like
it'd be pretty fun if you knew everything. Are you going out there? You're like, oh yeah, I can go out there and get a 40-inch gag every single day.
I disagree. I think that part of it is if it was easy or if it was a lot harder, it'd make it more fun. Like for me, catching those snook off the beach, it actually got boring, which is crazy for me. I've never.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
I get it in that sense. And Bob behind the camera can attest to this with the big snook that you hooked the other day in the cove. When I was just like, oh yeah, you need like help or anything with that? It's just like something that just because happens. We have been going in this area, and
we're not bragging.
We're not bragging. This is facts. We've been going into this area and pretty much consistently at least pulling out one overslot snook. And when you take people there that haven't like been out with us or like been experiencing that, my buddy Bob hooked a good one, and I'm just sitting there. It's like wrapping them up on pilings. It's wrapping them up on everything. And I'm just kind of standing there like on the boat. I got the troll motor remote on me and everything. I'm just like, do you want like help or something? Do you like want any assistance? And you're like,
did you want help?
Yeah, he wanted help.
Hey, this guy is just like, he's just got popcorn. Like, he's just like,
yeah. Cool. And I was just like, all right, well, you can bring it here. Like maybe if you bring it to the boat, I can net it or something. And it's just like one of these things. It's like, if you do something like consistently and then you like kind of get dialed in, it does get to the point where it's
dull.
repetitive and it's
it
getting
almost becomes
like
dull.
Yeah, so it's like one of these things you try stuff or try new things, or you just get out of your comfort zone a little bit. Yeah. Which for me is a beach snook. For you, it's I don't even know, the tarpon maybe. There's so many things. It's not just one. There's so many things that I am nowhere close or like an expert at.
We
or
all
anything.
are. I mean, we're all in the same boat.
Yeah,
much.
And I get where you're coming with that, where it's like that part is exciting, yes.
Yeah.
But it's also something where it's like I feel like it would be hard to get bored of big tarpon if you got them dialed in, or
I don't know. Are you sure?
I don't know. Just let me become that expert.
Let's hypothetically,
give me one more summer. That's all I need, and I'm gonna get them dialed in. It's gonna be every day. We're going out getting 10 of them, and I'm just gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna sleep in this morning. I don't even want them.
So let's assume hypothetically that you were fishing Boca, right? That's Boca Grande for anybody who doesn't know. I'm sure.
Not Raton.
No.
You had to think about that.
I did have to think about that. That's other coast. Anyways, let's say hypothetically that you can go out and catch like 200-pound tarpon every single day. You're telling me like after
200. Can we pause that for a second? 200 pounders.
600 pounds. No, imagine. But imagine you catch that many a day, like a couple, for years and years. Wouldn't it get dull? Like, wouldn't you get tired of it?
I guess that's where it comes out. Where it's like you want to get the people
exactly. That's where like captain's license comes in.
And bring it back full circle. Look at this. We're expert podcasters.
But for some reason, the camera is only on me, and I guess should we have another battery in or edit this out?
Yeah, we can edit.
But yeah, I feel like it become dull after a while. Yeah. I don't know. It's just me because I've seen it get duller. It's not dull. Like I still be up at 4:30 in the morning catch snook, but
yeah. But that's what you were saying, kind of with your captaincy, where it's like you really get the joy out of like getting something kind of figured out, getting like a fish figured out, and then being able to take people that aren't able to experience that every single day and get them on it. And you find that enjoyable, which I think is going to make you a pretty damn good captain if you can
appreciate that,
figure that out.
Yeah, figure out all the business works of it, but. I feel like it's novel itself. It's new to get people on fish. So that in itself is new and exciting in a way. And I feel like it'll be different because every client is different. Everybody's going to appreciate it, because they've never caught it before.
Yeah, that's
or if
one
they
thing
they haven't seen dolphins, manatees, anything like that.
Yeah, you're going to have some
new people. Very new people.
I can just see it now. You're going to have some people that are going to literally go out and be pretty much asking for like a dolphin tour, and then you have people going out there disappointed that all you caught was
4 big snook,
like 4 overslot snook. Yeah. It's going to be some wide variety, and obviously it's going to be a learning curve.
Part of the business.
Yeah, I really do think you're going to freaking kill it, especially that time of year. Like it's going to be the early summer, not even early, just like summertime. It's going to be prime time, and then scallop season is going to come around, and then
that's a whole other
scallop season. So much fun.
I didn't get bit last year though, or clamped. What do you even call that?
Bit.
I mean, how is that bit? Like
it's not their mouth. I guess it's their mouth. It's their everything.
It's their. You got bit by the everything.
Yep. Wow.
What? My mind it's just everything exploded. Just bit you.
Yeah. They clamped down. They clamped down pretty good. I got. Yeah. Insert the Instagram reel right here.
Just like gets your fingers stuck.
Yeah, and then they just don't let go. But they sure are tasty, and our season, at least by us, is only 10 days.
Yeah.
So we got to take advantage of that. And I'm telling you right now, if you got your captain's license, those are going to be some of the best, easiest.
Snook and Scallops.
Snook and Scallops.
Is that the name?
That's the name of your charter. Oh my God, we just figured it out.
Snook and Scallops.
Snook and Scallops with
Dude,
JC.
That's
JC Snook and Scallops. My lisp really wanted to just explode there.
Snook.
But no, I think that time of year, the summertime, getting people on the snook, getting people, well, it's one of these things. You get people on beach snook in the morning and then cut bait redfish in the afternoon, like we were talking about.
Yeah, if it's a full day. Yeah.
High tide. Oh, yeah. Full day, you'll be able to you can get them their slam every day. Not a big deal. There's your plug.
That's some high standards.
That is some high standards.
So,
but,
pressure's a privilege, though, so we'll take it.
But yeah. So, well, thank you, sir, for joining us on the first.
This is just too professional.
The inaugural Sea-Doo podcast.
too formal.
This is too formal.
I'm about to go eat some more wings.
But yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys next time.
Peace.